Hello, we are pleased to present the paper entitled Switch to Friendly Mode, Building an Intervention Model for the Prevention of Hate Speech. This research is the result of a collaboration between the University of Seville through Laboratorio de Actividad Humana Research Group and Bosco Global Foundation or Fundación Bosco Global with the support of the Andalusian Agency for International Development Cooperation. The presentation is divided into four main sections. We will begin with a conceptual introduction. Next, we will examine the current challenges posed by hate speech, and we will then outline the consensus-based methodology employed in this study. Finally, we will present the resulting model, MICPREDO, an integrated consensus-based model for the prevention of hate speech. We will begin with a brief overview of the phenomenon of hate speech. It is important to note that although there is no universally agreed definition of hate speech, our research group considers that discourse extends beyond isolated words. Hate speech consists of expression, messages, and narratives, both spoken and written, that have the power to shape perceptions and, above all, to construct the collective imagination. These narratives are the basis of our social interaction. At present, in Spain, there is widespread public concern over the rise in hate speech. Figures from the Spanish government show that the hate crimes have risen by 47.21% over the last 10 years. We must therefore return to the fundamental principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article 1 reminds us that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Article 7 guarantees equal protection before the law and protection against discrimination. And Article 19 affirms that freedom of expression is a fundamental right, but it cannot be interpreted as a license to incite hatred, discrimination, or violence. Our work is also aligned with Sustainable Development Goal 16. This goal aims to reduce all forms of violence, ensure access to reliable information, and strengthen institutions to prevent crime and hate through preventive action. We will take a closer look at some of the key issues related to hate speech. It is essential to understand that hate speech is not a phenomenon unique to the 21st century. Throughout history, hate speech has been used to segregate and dehumanize individual and social groups. Hate speech and the way it constructs the other becomes part of the local and or global collective imaginary, reinforcing prejudice and stereotypes. Hate speech has fueled conflicts and even contributed to genocides. In the 90s, radio became one of its most powerful channels of dissemination. Today, the internet and social media act as major technological catalysts, accelerating the spread of these messages exponentially. What has changed is not hatred itself, but its ability to persist in the collective imaginary and the speed at which it spreads. We are currently experiencing a particularly critical moment due to the rise of authoritarian populist movements that have normalized hate in the public sphere, exacerbating social polarization. We define hate speech as the promotion of violence and harassment based on discriminatory hostility related to race, gender, ideology, and other factors. It represents an exclusionary form of hostility that devalues the outgroup and unfortunately is acquired and transformed through everyday social interaction. Digital platforms create filter bubbles and echo chambers that reinforce our existing beliefs and fuel prejudice against vulnerable groups, amplifying hates. Disinformation and the misuse of technology pose an unavoidable challenge for anyone seeking to reduce and prevent hate speech. Why did we undertake this process to develop a consensus based model for the prevention of hate speech? Because according to recent studies, most current interventions aimed at preventing hate speech are based on common sense rather than scientific evidence. We need to move from a deficit based prevention model focused solely on the problem or on punitive measures towards a positive development approach that empowers citizens with critical tools and alternative narratives. What methodology did we follow? We combined two consensus techniques, the nominal group technique to generate in depth ideas through a structured face to face discussion, and the Delphi technique to validate and refine these ideas anonymously and systematically through several rounds. In the first phase, participants generated a list of competencies and attributes they consider essential for the prevention of hate speech. These were then ranked through a confidential voting process, after which their results were compiled and discussed collectively until consensus was reached. The findings were then analyzed and organized into thematic categories. In the second phase, the Delphi technique, participants completed online questionnaires in which they rated each element according to its relevance and to the developmental model. The results were then validated using statistical criteria and measures of sample representativeness. Combining these two techniques makes it possible to capitalize on the strengths of each, the depth and richness of structured face to face discussion, and the robustness and anonymous, geographically distributed consensus that is provided by the Delphi technique. This methodological approach ensures that the resulting intervention model is not the product of a single perspective, but rather a rigorous synthesis of professional and academic expertise. As you can see on the slide, throughout this process, the two consensus technique involve 46 experts of diverse fields, social organizations, university, public administration, and educational institutions. This diversity of profiles ensures that the model is not only academic but also professional and practice oriented. As shown in Figure 1, the model evolved throughout the process. We moved from an initial model with 5 dimensions and 61 components to a refined model with 4 dimensions and 31 final components. The reduction in the number of dimensions result from merging the intervention strategies and personal experiences dimensions, which has provided greater coherence to the intervention framework. The statistical results support this refinement of the new intervention model for the prevention of hate speech. Between phases 1 and 2, there was a significant improvement in the level of acceptance and a reduction in the dispersion of opinions, indicating a robust consensus regarding the model's components. We will now present in greater detail the new integrated and consensus-based development model for the prevention of hate speech called MICPREDO. Here you can see the 4 dimensions of the model: cognitive and affective competencies, the personal skills to be developed, values that are the ethical foundation, intervention strategies, that is, what to do, and developmental context or where to act. This figure represents the core of our proposed model. Key competencies include civic and cultural competence, critical thinking, and empathy, while the core values encompass acceptance of diversity, respect, and social justice, for example. Together, these two dimensions provide the foundation for concrete intervention strategies, such as creating alternative narratives and promoting opportunities for collective social participation. And these strategies are embedded with a range within a range of developmental contexts, expanding from the family to social media and the political sphere. Taken together, all these elements form a holistic and integrated model that provides practical framework for action. We conclude that it's urgent to address hate as a risk behavior, incorporating lessons learned from other risk behaviors and developing evidence based action. McPredo offers a comprehensive approach that goes beyond the punitive model, and it is important to highlight that throughout the process, the value of self preservation as a value did not reach the required level of consensus. It obtained 72% agreement, while the inclusion criteria was set at 80%. Therefore, a new line of research could explore the extent to which self care should be considered relevant in preventing hate speech. Future research should examine whether the exclusion of this component is due to its definition, its moral implications, or the perception that protecting physical, emotional, and mental integrity, as well as decision making and the adoption of practices that promote health, safety, and personal well being, are not considered priorities in reducing hate speech. To conclude, we would like to highlight that McPredo is an empirically validated model that offers a comprehensive approach addressing both action and developmental processes. It moves beyond the deficit model by integrating competencies, values, strategies, and context to transform hate speech into a culture of peace and social cohesion. Having this model strengthens the methodological foundation in this field of knowledge. It promotes the design of new actions for the prevention of hate speech. It supports the implementation of effective preventive policies, and it provides a basis for justifying the allocation of resources to preventive actions grounded in an empirically validated model. These are some of the references that we have used in our research. And we would like to conclude by thank you all for your attention and reminding you of the importance of switching to your friendly mode to transform hate speech into a culture of dialogue, peace, and social cohesion. We welcome your comments and contributions, and we thank you very much for your attention.